It is a beautiful Friday evening for racing down in Alabama as we welcome you to tonight's broadcast of the Fuel Sportsman Series here on the North American Sim Racing Network. Tonight, it's the UNsirius XD125 here at the Talladega Superspeedway. And a pleasant good evening, everybody tuning into tonight's live coverage here of the Fuel Sportsman Series on your home for the Fuel Racing League, the North American Sim Racing Network. My name is Trey Wright, joined alongside by the Colonel himself, Mr. Caleb Rose, and we are just ready to go here in a couple of moments for our 9th race of the season here for the Fuel Sportsman Series at the one and only Talladega Superspeedway. And Caleb, we are so glad to be here live and getting ready for what is going to be a fantastic 9th race of the season with a pretty good championship battle to boot going into the final 4 races. But Talladega on its own, anything can happen here and anything will happen.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely pumped to see how it all ends up shaking out here tonight from the Talladega Superspeedway. You all know how this track is, and honestly, just how unexpected the events at this track seem to be. You always got to expect the unexpected at a track such as this. I'm definitely very excited to see what we do see here in this race, but it's definitely going to be very interesting. A lot of factors probably going to be in this race. Of course, I had an older version of Talladega, period accurate to the cars that we are running here in the Sportsman Series, so got a lot of an older surface. The tire wear probably going to be a lot more of a prominent factor, so that's definitely going to be something interesting to watch out for. But still, going to be a very fun one here from the Talladega Superspeedway. Of course, like you mentioned, it being towards the tail end of the season with the championship battle starting to kind of pick up. So this will definitely be fun to see how that plays out as well. But regardless of the fact, in for a spectacular race here from Talladega, as is usually the case at this racetrack and here in the Fuel Sportsman Series in general.
Yeah, like you said, that championship battle coming right down to the wires. We take a look at the standings after race number 8, which was an incredible race at the Indianapolis Raceway Park, a caution-free race at IRP last week at the Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park, in which Dane Stinson won that race. That's a name we hadn't heard in quite a while. But you take a look at the point standings, no surprise to see Apollo Hyde, who has been uber consistent in that 100 machine, leads by 11 points over Dunlap, who's got 5 wins on the year of the 8 races being ran so far. But other than those 5 wins, he has either not ran the race or has finished outside of the podium, if I'm not mistaken. And those two are really beginning to run away with the standings. You got Emmy Schizzato back in the wings there in the 84 points behind. She's certainly still in the conversation, but not as much as both Apollo and Dunn are. You got Ike Durbin, Vincenzo Focusato, the 2 front runners for the Millennium Autosport trio. They round out the top 5. Grant Warren, Crystal Bennett swapping spots. Drew Fast, after a pretty good run last week at IRP, moves up 3 spots in the standings. Same thing with the 29 of Rich Roy. I don't believe he's going to be in the race tonight for the 3rd entry for Millennium Autosport. Kenny Campos still in the top 10, but tonight is the final race that he will be driving in the for the foreseeable future for the Fuel Racing League, as he will join us in the commentary booth here on Wednesday and Friday nights pretty shortly. Rafaela Sorensen and Connor Edwards currently round out the top 12, and it's Grant Warren who jumps to the top of the charts in qualifying quickly with a 46.851, beating out Connor Edwards at the moment by a couple hundredths of a second there, as we've got just a little bit of time to go here. We still got a minute and a half to go in qualifying. We got 15 cars on the slate here for tonight, and it looks like the younger Warren brother is going to be leading the field of the green flag. Potentially Trek Talger, Keon Daly, and Kenny Campos round out the top 5. Apollo Hyde and Dunn Laprade starting deep in the field, 9th and 10th respectively for the 100. And actually, now that just I say that, Apollo Hyde just put down her 2nd qualifying lap, or her 2nd qualifying lap, and immediately both her and Dunn Laprade will jump to the top of the charts. Trek Talger will be in 2nd for the moment, with 13 cars putting together a time at the moment. But Caleb, you and I both know that Talladega, it does not matter where you start. It only matters where you finish. And particularly here at Talladega, we see things get crazy. And with how these sportsman drivers have been racing on these super speedways so far this season, we saw it earlier this year at the Albuquerque Speedway. just how wild these super speedway races can get. We got a similar field size, maybe a little bit bigger, and we're definitely in shape for what's going to be a fun race here tonight down in Talladega.
Yeah, definitely, especially at tracks such as these big super speedways. Anybody can win this race, and anybody can win from anywhere here throughout this field. So it'll definitely be fascinating to see who we do see end up in victory lane once everything is said and done. But I definitely wouldn't be surprised if at least once might see all these guys show their faces towards the front of the field. But like you said, it's going to be interesting to see how it does end up factoring out. Could definitely see some chaos in a race like this, like you were talking about. So we'll have to see if that ends up playing into factor here today. But like I said, it'll definitely be fascinating to see who we do see winding up battling for this once it's said and done. But honestly, with how the field's lined up here tonight, and with how much parity we can see at a track like this, honestly, wouldn't be too surprised if it's anyone here in throughout this field.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised anybody to take the checkered flag here tonight, as it looks like we're going to have 16 starters, as it looks like we've got a late addition of Bria Lazanga qualifying in 18th. I'm not sure if I'm saying that name correctly or not. If can somebody a little bit more well versed in pronunciations, please let me know. But overall, as we add a number 2 into our images folder, if we can, come on. Oh, is my keyboard not gonna want to work? Is my keyboard not going to want to work? Trying to add one number to the other. Let's go. Come on, Mr. Keyboard. Unfortunately, this is what happens when you still use 5 or 6 year old technology, Caleb. Sometimes it doesn't like to work.
Yeah, definitely. I know NR2003 and just modern hardware in general is the most isn't the most compatible thing in the world. And honestly, technology in general, honestly, just kind of seems to want to work when it wants to. So I definitely have had my fair share of instances of that, like in the past. I remember there was one offline race that I did where GNL just absolutely did not work, and the whole race it just scrolled up at the top of the ticker. NR 2003 has not been started or something
Oh,
like
I
that. I
hate
don't
when
know,
that
but
happens.
yeah.
That's part of the reason why I had to duck out of the server early on here. I came in and then realized I don't have GNL started, and it's not going to work if I don't have it started, so I got to dip out. Fortunately, that's when my internet decided to die, and that's why the stream was going up a little bit late, as you can't see it on the screen, but Don LaPrade is currently doing his best Kyle Busch impression down the pit lane going backwards. And, of course, this is the first race that you and I have done together after Kyle Busch's unfortunate passing. I can't believe that it has been just a day, over a week, since his unfortunate passing. Caleb, I know that you and I being both longtime racing fans, Kyle Busch is an integral part of our childhood. And when I saw that news on Thursday, it felt like the last nail in the coffin for my childhood, unfortunately.
Yeah, same here. It honestly just kind of hit like a truck, and at the same time, it hit like a feather. I couldn't really believe that it happened. It honestly just didn't feel real. Even now, it still doesn't really feel real. NASCAR just does not feel the same without him. Love him or hate him, he was definitely an integral piece of what NASCAR was, especially leading up now into the modern day. He was definitely not only quite the driver, but quite the person, both on and off the racetrack. And like I said, the sport as a whole is just not the same without him. And still, to this day, it just does not feel real. It's such a shame to see a driver gone too soon.
It definitely is, and of course our thoughts and prayers are with the Busch family. And we didn't do it the other night because this Wednesday night the stream was a little bit more rushed together than tonight. Of course, tonight was pretty much the same thing. Had an event. I actually had a wedding rehearsal for my girlfriend and her sister and her soon-to-be husband in the next 24 hours. So that's why the stream was a little bit touch and go whether we're going to do it live here tonight or rather if we were going to go ahead and do a tape delay Sunday evening. But we are live. We are ready to go. But we will be having a silent lap 8 in honor of Kyle Busch and the entire Busch family. That pre-race before the Coke 600 completely destroyed me. I think that's when it really set in, like, yeah, this is real. This is happening. And For Samantha, Brexton, Lexon, and the entire Bush family. For Kurt Busch as well, because he's a man that, I feel like everybody has been more focused on, okay, what's next for Brexton, what's next for Samantha, but Kurt Busch, just what a roller coaster the 21st century has been for Kurt Busch. From the highs of winning the first ever chase for the Cup 22 years ago to the lows of the rest of his time at Penske Racing, and then just everything that's transpired in the last 5 years, 5-6 years with the next gen car. It's certainly been a lot for Kurt. So we're gonna definitely keep him in our prayers tonight, as for everybody else as well. But that'll be on lap number 8. And here we go here tonight, and it's going to be, we can go ahead and let's put up the happy hour graphic instead of the practice graphic. Come on, guys, let's do this. Let's do this right. It's going to be 47 lapper here tonight, so about the same distance you and I run our Talladega races at here for a 125-mile beautiful race here on a beautiful afternoon in Talladega, Alabama. Of course, 33 degrees of banking in the corners at this 2.66-mile superspeedway. Trioval at 18 degrees. We'll see these guys probably come down since we're at 2X at around 29 to 32 laps. So they're not going to have to come down multiple times. If this race goes green, I don't think it's going to go green. We have seen the chaos happen here at Talladega. If it does, that's going to be very fun to watch, especially green flag pit stops. Of course, taking a look at the track itself, it's the exact same shape as Daytona, maybe a little bit bigger. But as we are constitutionally obligated, Caleb, to mention, that start-finish line, it's not in the center of the tri-oval like Daytona and most traditional tracks. It's all the way just past pit exit, off towards turn number 1. And that has so many times come into play here at Talladega. We saw it just a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago at this point, with Carson Hocevar getting his first career NASCAR Cup Series win at the one and only Talladega Superspeedway. It has been hallowed ground. It is hallowed grounds here at Talladega, and we are so damn excited.
Absolutely. Talladega, like I kind of talked about, it's very similar to Daytona, but it's just so different in so many ways, and honestly, it just makes it feel a lot more chaotic and a lot more crazy, and man, I'm definitely excited to see how it ends up turning out tonight. Like you mentioned, you got the obligatory starting line past the tri-oval, which has definitely produced a lot of crazy moments throughout the years, both in real life and a couple crazy moments here in NR Online as well, and could definitely have the makings of a crazy moment here tonight. Off of turn number 4 in the last lap is the ample opportunity for somebody to make one final move, one last Hail Mary, try and take the race victory away. So it's going to definitely be interesting to see how that ends up shaking out. Like you mentioned, we saw that in real life with Carson Hocevar getting the win here at the Talladega Superspeedway. Honestly, if you told me going into this year that this point in the season, Spire Motorsports would have 2 race victories,
they've got as many wins as Hendrick.
But
I don't know how.
Yeah, there you go.
They've got as many wins as Hendrick and as many wins as Penske, if I'm not mistaken.
Let him cook.
But then again, Tyler Reddick has what, 5 wins at this point. If he's not the champion, the odds-on championship favorite, then I don't know what we're doing. But I do know what we're doing here tonight, and we're going to have a pretty good race. 12 cars have put down a lap in happy hour with about 2 minutes to go in happy hour. But this is how they'll line up. Dunlop and Trek Togger will be in row number 1. Leprod winning the pole position by a full 1/10 of a second over everybody else. He was the only driver to put down a sub 46.7 lap, as he put down a 46.01. He nearly dipped into the 46.5s. That's how fast Dunlop is going to be for your current points leader, or your current penultimate points leader. The Truck Tauger starting at his outside. Emi Schizato and Apollo Hyde will be row number 2. Vincenzo Focusato and Keon Daly will be row 3. Ike Durbin and Kenny Campos will be row 4. Connor Edwards and Grant Warren row 5. Corbin Wentz and Drew Fast will be row number 6. Crystal Bennett and Tyler Stallhood row 7. RJ Bishop and Brie Lasanja will be row number 8 for the 16 cars. They'll put down a lap here in just a couple of moments. We take a look at the rest of the Season 4 schedule here for Sportsman. We got 3 more broadcasts, including tonight. Next week, we go from the high banks of Talladega back up to the Finger Lakes region of New York, back up to good old Watkins Glen, That'll be coming next Friday on June 5th. We're going to take a week off for Pikes Peak, and then we'll be back here. Day to be determined when that Michigan broadcast will be, as I'm going to be on a group trip to the Poconos with my fraternity brothers on Friday, June 19th. So what I'm thinking, Caleb, is we could potentially bring the setup, take it to our Airbnb, and I could do some sort of broadcast with my fraternity brothers. They would absolutely love it. A bunch of us are NASCAR fans.
There you go.
And doing a broadcast in the Poconos, that would be awesome. And you know what? Apollo Hyde, you know, credit to her. She is currently racing in a hotel lobby right now. So credit to her. She's going to be one of the ones to watch as well, as the checkered flag has fallen here in happy hour. So we're going to get started here in just a couple of moments. But it's going to be a fun one. We got 16 cars on the card. 14 of them have put down a lap here in happy hour, and it is anybody's race truly tonight here, Caleb. And who is your pick to win the UNsirius XD 125 here at Talladega? You can pretty much pick anybody out of a hat, and they have got a solid chance, that's for sure.
Definitely a lot of strong contenders still in this race. A lot of drivers to potentially look out for. Of course, no matter the track, you still got to keep Apollo Hyde and Dunlop in mind. You know they're probably going to be fast even at a track like this. Drew Fast has definitely looked quite sporty here in Fuel as of late. I definitely watch out for that Ford machine as well. Of course, Focus Auto, Tyler Stallhood, can't count them out either. But someone who's really kind of turned it up in the last couple of months on here on Fuel is RJ Bishop. He's definitely knocked out a couple of great runs in that number 48 machine. I definitely keep an eye out for him, and he is my pick to get it done here tonight from the Talladega Super Speedway.
Well, he's going to have quite a few combatants to try and get his way through, as we are getting ready to go here at Talladega in just a couple of moments. As we'll take it back here down trackside on the back straightaway here at Talladega, as we await the most famous words in motorsports to fire the engines for race number 9 of the 12-race slate here for season number 4 of the Fuel Sportsman Series, the UNsirius XD 125 at Talladega.
Drivers, start your engines!
And the engines have been fired here at the Talladega Super Speedway, and it's going to be the defending winner of this race, Mr. Dunlop, looking to pick up right where from he left off last year here at Talladega. He's got Trek Togger to his outside looking for his second career win here on the Fuel Racing League. His first win coming late last year at trying to remember which race that was. I believe that was at a CRI back in the Fuel Sportsman Series, or the Fuel Super Speedway Series, I should say. Apollo Hyde looking for that second win of the season, looking for her first oval track win of the season. And Emmy Schizzato, the defending winner on the Super Speedway, has won at Albuquerque earlier on this year in that number 97 machine. Plenty of drivers to pick from here on the 15-car grid. And I'm going to go ahead with the pole sitter of Don LaPrade, who has been hot when he's been on track here in that Chester's Family Market Chevrolet. But he has got plenty of combatants to try and deal with here as the field heads towards the Tri-Oval. They're not at the start-finish line yet. They're just about to reach the restart zone in a couple of moments. They jam up a little bit on the outside, waiting the green flag. Still waiting for the green flag. There's the green flag out in the air. Let's rock some rando, get a little rowdy here at Talladega.
Boogity.
LaPrade got the jump on the inside, and Apollo Hyde being very fidgety in that 100 machine, using that hotel Wi-Fi, mind you. Trying to go to the outside lane. Brings Keon Daly along with her. Meanwhile, Emmy Schizzato will drop that 97 Ford Thunderbird, or Ford Taurus, I should say, to the inside. Here comes the Pontiac Grand Prix of Trek Tauger. Tauger starting on the outside lane, goes down to the low side. Hyde will make it 3 wide up top. They're 3 by 3 right behind the race leader as Dunlopron will lead lap number 1 here of the 125 miles of tonight's race. 2.66 miles down with a handful to go. And already we're starting to see our usual front runners up and running. Corbin Wentz starting in the back there along with the 48 of RJ Bishop. Like you were talking about, Caleb, he's going to have a little bit of ground to try and catch up in that 48 machine. Tyler Stallhood and Drew Fast winning towards the back end of the field as well. Are we going to see 4 wide? Grant Warren thought about making a 4 wide, thinks better of it, tucks in right behind the 02 of Connor Edwards and the 17 of Kenny Campos. And everybody trying to track down that 74 machine as LeBron will lead the opening 2 laps of tonight.
Some crazy racing here early on in the going, probably no doubt caused by this old surface we got here at the Talladega Super Speed. While all these cars bouncing around, definitely looking quite uneasy right now in the early stages. Sometimes they look like the car just wants to jump out from underneath them. Sometimes it looks like it's absolutely plowing tight. Sometimes of a track like this and a surface like this, you got to be able to manage your car well, get that thing turned. It could potentially be disastrous. Just like I saw a couple times, cars almost get to the outside wall here off these corners.
Like Durbin did get in the wall there.
They're off of turn number 4. These walls come at you fast, so definitely need to be careful. But everybody keeping it together here so far in the early stages. Dunlopron doing a good job in the lead. Schizzotto in second. Here comes Kenny Campos, Connor Edwards, Grant Warren there on the inside lane looking to make some headway as Vincenzo Focusato getting shuffled up and out of line. He's right up against that outside wall. Oh boy, it's getting crazy here already in the early stages of Talladega. As for the lead, here comes Schizzotto.
Yeah, like you were talking about, this is very sketchy asphalt. It's, I think, when's the last time they did a repave at Talladega? Probably 2005, I think. So it's not as old as the in-game Talladega track is. But there's certainly, like you said, there's not a whole lot of grip on this version of Talladega. It is a very slick track, and especially given the temperatures in-game, I believe we're probably around 85 to 86 degrees track temp or air temperature-wise, which means the track is going to be just a little bit hotter, hovering around the 100, 105 mark. So it's a hot and slick track, and like we've seen Ike Durbin hit the outside wall a couple of different times early in this run. He's battling a very loose race car, but that's the car you kind of need here at Talladega, a nice, loose, and fast car, especially with this fixed setup mod, or this fixed setup league here for the Sportsman Series. Everybody is running a nice, fast, and loose automobile, and it's really just going to come down to driver and car control on who is going to be the comers, who's going to be the goers, and who's going to be here at the end. Kenny Campos might not be here at the end. He was on the apron for a hot minute. And that Tyrrell P34 six-wheeler throwback. Connor Edwards blipping a little bit in and out of that Maytag 02 car. Yes, I did, in fact, paint that 17 machine on my way cross-country from Hickory, North Carolina, over to the Kansas Speedway about a month ago. First time seeing that beautiful homage to the Tyrrell team out on track, and he's battling a very loose race car by the looks of it, and he has dropped from I believe he was about in the 3rd or 4th spot. He came to the line back in 4th, and he's going to jump probably just outside of the top 10. Connor Edwards trailing back with him as well at the stripe. Apollo Hyde is just going to get that lap led over Dunlopron, and now we're starting to see a pretty good battle between the bottom and top lanes. And that's another beauty here at Talladega, especially online. You can have 2 lanes just as equally run with one another. I know, Caleb, you and I, our biggest bone to pick with the super speedways in this game is that the inside lane is always the dominant line. If you go to the outside, you are shooting yourselves in the foot, and around goes Schizzotto. Same thing with the 17 of Campos. They collect the 02, and the yellow flag flies for the opening time. And that looked like 2 separate instances of cars getting loose going into turn 3. And that'll be our first incident of the night. And Emmy Schizzotto with a lot of damage on the rear end of that 97. Kenny Campos in his final race for the foreseeable future also a little bit bent up in that 17 car, and Connor Edwards had nowhere to go. Fortunately, it looks like they will be able to continue, and that broke the tension that seeing build up there a little bit by bit, and lap by lap.
Yeah, definitely. And like you were talking about there just a second ago, loose is fast, especially at a track such as this. And the looser you make the cars, the faster they'll probably be. At the same time, you sacrifice your handling, the potential you have to keep the car underneath you. And sometimes, if you overdo it just a little too much, the car can go out of control and fortunately get out from underneath him. We kind of saw it there as Skizzato went around there on the entrance of turn 3. Kenny Campos and Connor Edwards, unfortunate for them, as they had nowhere to go. But yeah, really tough break there for all those guys involved in that accident. Coming to lap number 8 as well. Have our first caution of the day.
Looks like Kenny Campos has a flat right front tire, so left front tire, so he's going to be trundling around as everybody's going to come down pit lane. They're at lap 40, and taking a look at the race analysis again, I don't think they're going to be able to make it from here on a single stop, because, or on just on this stop, because we got 40 to go, and they can do about 29 to 32 laps. Now, granted, that's about what the AI can do on 2X. I would gauge that everybody else would probably be about similar numbers, as Heidi's going to come out. I think she just took 2 tires there, if I'm not mistaken. Everybody else is going to take 4. Crystal Bennett looking to come out second, but she'll come out 4th. It looks like Emmy Skizzato might be trapped a lap down in that 97 machine, so she'll be looking to get back on the lead lap after all of this. Tough break for these drivers. We'll go ahead and take a look and see what happened to put us back under, or put us under our first caution flag of the night. And Emmy was running up towards the front. She was in the 6th position at the time. It looks like she had an extensive amount of damage to try and repair. We'll go ahead and get a quick look at what happened here with Skizzato back down low. I think she may have got a little bit of help there from Kenny on second look, as they both got very close. I'm not sure if there was any contact, and she was just trying to fill a hole that was rapidly closing, and maybe just a tad bit of bumper grab would be my gauge, Caleb.
It definitely kind of looks that way. The 97, of course, just trying to, I think, follow the 60 in suit there into turn at number 3. The 17 came with a huge run, just kind of lightly grazed the back bumper of the 97, but fortunately, you know how it is here in online contact. Car-to-car contact is definitely not forgiving at all.
It is not.
Definitely not forgiving at all. And unfortunately, it's going to send the 97 and the 17 around. So like you said, a little bit of contact, maybe a little bit of bumper grab involved in that. And unfortunately, going to send both cars spinning in turns 3 and 4. Tough break for those two. And Connor Edwards, who pretty much had absolutely nowhere to go in that accident, as he was right behind the 17 when that all went down. Just kind of an unfortunate situation there for all those guys.
Yeah, and we saw on the second look at the replay, it looked like there was just a little bit of bumper grab. And, you know, even with how, you know, kind of iffy the netcode is here at NR, you know, and that's something that we'll talk about here in a couple of moments again. But, you know, like you said, contact, especially on a super speedway, you know, there is very little leeway. You know, you look at just real life NASCAR. Look at what happened with Bubba Wallace earlier this year in the Talladega race. Carson Hocevar won. You know, just a little bit of contact with somebody, turns a 23 car around and ends up junking pretty much the entire field. And, you know, and like we've said, you know, bumper grab has been a topic of conversation for quite a while here, ever since the controversy at Canandaigua between Nick Gunther and Apollo Hyde. You know, bumper grab and warping has really been a very hot topic here. And, you know, it just comes into play a little bit there. We're under our first caution of the night. It'll be 37 laps to go when a field goes back through the gears. But, you know, you've done online before. You know, especially at these super speedways, but even at just like a short track, like whatever it's called, like Bristol or Martinsville, you know, just a little tap that's going to completely turn a car around. And we saw a lot of that bumper grab and warping Wednesday night as well in the Grand National race. Just a little bit of contact definitely goes a long way. So 10 laps will be in the books this next time around. Or as a reminder, we still do the single file restarts here in the Fuel Sportsman series. And it will be Apollo Hyde, who came down only once during that run. Dunlop led a slew of cars back down the pit lane. So we're going to see some fresh faces at the front. Tyler Stallhood looking for his second win in as many weeks here on the North American Sim Racing Network. Won the longest race of the fast Renegade Pro Cup Series season at Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600. Won that race about almost a week ago at this point. Green flag back out of the air. Corbin Wentz, Trek Tauger, and Keon Daly, as well as Grant Warren. That'll round out your starting 6 here for the restart with 10 laps in the books, 37 to go. Great jump on the restart, Caleb, for Apollo Hyde, and she is way out front, but you don't want to get too out front here at Talladega, because that choo-choo train is aboarding on the inside lane, and it's being conducted by Grant Warren.
Have to see what kind of a run they can build up here. Apollo does have some help here from the number 7 up, Tyler Stahl. It looks like the 100 might have backed up a little bit there, heading down the back straightaway, but they seem to be linked up now. But here comes Tyler Stallhood with help from that choo-choo train coming to Grant Warren there on the inside. Warren,
oh, he thought about making it 3 wide.
He thought about it. Thinks better of it. Gets lots back down low to help Stallhood, but split-second decisions. That's something you really got to keep in mind at a track like this. Those can go wrong really quickly as well. And great thinking there by the 33 Grant Warren to not go with that 3 wide mover, else that could have definitely ended disaster.
He's going to go 3 wide anyway, this time on the low side. He got really sketchy there on the inside, got pretty loose. Still 3 wide. Stallhood caught in the middle. Dunlop has already made his way back inside the top 5. We might go 4 wide here if Corbin Wentz wants to get a little bit jiggy with the 94 of Keon Daly. Daly on the high side, Corbin Wentz right behind him, and Drew Fast, first time we've talked about him for the majority of this race. Tauger on the inside, gets into the 33 and into the outside wall hard. Upside down goes Keon Daly. Corbin Wentz also around. Ike Durbin goes into the inside wall. And that was a very bad-looking hit for Keon Daly. He just went blip head-on into the concrete barrier. And that might be the end of the afternoon for Corbin Wentz as well. He is not able to drive away. He looked like a next-gen car, completely beached out there. Same thing with the 86, and the yellow flag is out. That time, the aggressiveness did not pay off, and Grant Warren was the first one to pinball into somebody. I think he got a little help there from Trek Tauger.
Heading through the travel in that number 33. Kind of just hit the apron, lost control a little bit, and slid up the racetrack. Looked like into Stallhood, when then it was pretty much just a game of ping pong from there. Stallhood ping pongs into Daly, shoots them up the racetrack hard into the wall. At that point, it's pretty much just on from there. Everything happened so quickly, nobody really had the opportunity to try and even think about avoiding that wreck, like Keon Daly, Ike Durbin, Corbin Wentz. Corbin, I think his day might be done. He gets teleported back to the pits. Ike Durbin trying to limp that 86 back to pit lane here, limping down the back straightaway into turns 3 and 4. Potentially multiple blown tires on that 86. And of course, Keon Daly, like we saw, a really hard shot to the outside wall for that 94. Looks like he might be able to continue, but we'll see if anything's going to be damaged internally for these guys, especially that 94, because that hit, I do believe we have moderate damage on that hit.
We do.
Still did not look good.
Yeah, we'll take we'll take another couple looks at it here. We'll focus on Keon Daly, and you saw Trek went down. Going for the block there was Grant. And oh my lord, that looked like Dale Earnhardt. What was that, 1997, 1996? And then watch the 88 of Corbin Wentz. He hit the inside wall hard. I self-admittedly look like a Fox cameraman there. We'll rewind here a little bit and just show you how hard that hit to the inside wall was for Corbin. Like I said, he had both of his right side or left side tires were down on that Geico 88. He was not able to get away from that accident whatsoever. That's just such a shame, as he was the first one to get hit by the 94. We'll look at it one more time, following with Grant. Looked like he just tried to throw the block on Trek, misjudged it, and yeah, nowhere for these guys to go. And you saw that 94 go for a wild, wild ride. Same thing with the 88. You know, I'm surprised that Corbin got as much damage in the rear end. You know, he got a ton more damage in the rear end of that Chevrolet, the Ford, than he did, you know, hitting the 94 as he went upside down. You know, moderate damage is very weird because it's very much less forgiving with rear end impacts than it is with front end impacts by the looks of it.
It's definitely weird how it dishes out damage sometimes, like we saw there with the 88. That rear end is destroyed, and while it definitely was a substantial shot to the inside wall, it definitely wasn't hard as, like, say, Keon Daly's shot to the outside wall, which looks like they were able to get that front end at least somewhat repaired. The car looks pretty clean, so that damage definitely quite the oddity in some ways.
You're looking at the front end of that Cinnabon car, you know, for a car that went head-on into the inside wall, it looks pretty clean. For the most part, compared to a car that went into the inside Armco. And then again, you know, if I'm not mistaken, I think Armco hits might be a lot less forgiving than concrete wall hits. Based on some of the physics that I've seen, you know, it's kind of weird. You know, again, you and I have talked about this ad nauseum. Just how weird, you know, the physics can be in this game. You know, we're talking about bumper grab, we're talking about, you know, types of contact, you know, and that was very interesting. But you know what? Everybody's still going to remain in the race for the time being. I really don't know about Corbin Wentz because, I mean, he's still in the pit lane. He's going to be 2 laps down at this point. With the field right now going down the back straightaway again. He had to be towed, and that's on top of the damage that he's going to get. It looks like they're finally going to put some tires back on that Geico Ford, but it looks like in all likelihood that he's going to be 2 laps down and pretty much not completely out of this race, and that's a tough break for one of the boss men for Warren Wentz Racing. Tough start to Season 9 for that group as well. You know, you go back to Nashville, I don't think any of them were able to get a top 15 finish aside from Will Goss, who's part of the satellite team. You know, actually Blake Warren, I think Blake had a top 10 on Wednesday night. I know RJ Bishop, he really struggled Wednesday night. He retired from the race midway. And it looks like Corbin is going to get out of the pit lane. How much of a sitting duck he is compared to the rest of the field going to the restart, I don't know, but he might be a sitting duck here in about 5 or 6 laps. So here we go. Back through the gearbox. Hyde, Togger, Compost, LaPrade, and Focusato, your top 5. Green flag back out and away. And a pretty good restart once again for Apollo Hyde. And Jaws theme playing here for Dunlaprod, Caleb. He is on the march.
Already up into 3rd, or at least looking for 3rd on the 17 of Kenny Campos. Trek Togger with a good run on Apollo.
That's a big
Hyde.
block. That's
Apollo
another big block.
All the way to the inside.
That is a mini Tyrell / Drew Dollar block there from Trek. I mean, come on, dude. We got 31 laps to go this next time around. Save those blocks from when we got there at the point of no return. Goodness gracious. You know, and when we talk about Trek being one of the most aggressive super speedway racers out there, you know, it's no reason to get this aggressive very early on as he's going to block Kenny Campos. You know, if I'm a guy that's right behind Trek right now, I'm kind of just dragging the brake a little bit. I'm going to join this outside lane because this is a freight train barreling down. This isn't a freight train. This is a night train barreling down the outside lane being led by that 74 car. You got LaPrade, you got Focusato, you got Tyler Stallhood is going to go for the race lead. We haven't talked about Crystal Bennett all day long in this 84 car. The other end of the lap car, Enterprise's trio that's out on track, of course. I believe Tyler Stallhood is still, at least with this version, at least with this Camry, I believe this Camry is still part of the Demario Chambers Racing camp, at least for the Sportsman series. but he does have a teammate way up high in Crystal Bennett in terms of the Grand National side of things, and same with Keon Daly, who is horrendously off the pace right now. He is not getting going, and somebody is going a little too much. It looks like that 37 car was animated by squiggle vision for Vincenzo Focasato, and he was squirming all over the place. Oh, when Drew Fast up into the wall, he's on his side. Skizato made some contact with Fast, and the yellow flag is going to come out here for the third time tonight. And that's going to be the end of the night for Drew Fast, as his engine has unfortunately expired.
Yeah, those engines don't really seem to like concrete walls for dinner, it seems like.
And we're seeing it already with Keon Daly, and we're seeing it there with Drew Fast, who went head on into the inside wall once again under caution number 3. And this, Caleb, begs a very interesting question, because now we're at the point with 29 laps to go that we're going to be at the point where these guys can make it on a final set of pit stops if we remain caution-free. It's going to be cutting it pretty close. We're right at the beginning of the window, so these guys should be good. But they can make it to the end here, theoretically and mathematically.
Definitely an interesting point to bring up. I'd imagine at least probably see some of these guys trickle on down the pit lane. In fact, maybe everybody here. See if somebody, or actually, everybody kind of undecided. Oh, we got one staying out here rolling the dice, the 48 of RJ Bishop, and potentially banking on another caution or two here. So we'll see how that works out for the 48. But everybody else going to come on in, and we'll have to see if this does go green all the way with what we've seen so far. Definitely not trending the right way, but hey, like I said, at a track like this, you always got to expect the unexpected. So we'll have to wait and see how this ends up turning out.
We definitely will have to wait and see as we follow with the 74 car down the pit lane. It looks like 4 tires will be going all the way around this Chester's Family Market Monte Carlo. We'll go with the rest of the field. Stolhood out and away. See if we get a little bit of shuffling on the pit lane. It looks like we will. Follow Hyde coming out 4th with everybody else. Not a great pit stop for some drivers, but looks like we're going to get some interesting motion here. Remember, RJ Bishop did come down. He has come down each of the last 3 cautions, and he's made 4 pit stops so far. So he has been down. He is about on the same lap with these drivers, because I think we got this race restarted with about 33 to go. So that could be pushing it a little bit there. But ultimately, this is going to make things very interesting as we'll take a look at what happened to bring out caution number 3, and it has not been a good night for Skizato, and unfortunately, she took out Drew Fast with her. We'll go ahead and grab a look at what happened here on the back straightaway, following with Drew Fast. And 4 wide is not going to work, and unfortunately, that's a little bit of wall grab that puts that 4 car in to the wall, and ultimately, you know, it looked like Drew, you know what happened, Caleb? It looked like Drew was going to be able to drive away perfectly, but I think he money shifted trying to get that car refired. And ultimately, that's what's going to take him out, and that's tough.
Man.
That's very tough.
Yeah, definitely, that's such a rough way to go out. If he was still able to continue, that's even more rough. So, man, that's unfortunate there for Drew Fast.
Oh, yeah, he money shifted from 4th to 1st.
Oh, man.
That'll unfortunately do it.
Transmission is probably, unfortunately, soup at this point.
So watch that 4 car. We'll take a look, you know, at this all here. Watch the gear marker go from 4th all the way back to 1st, and yeah, they don't call it a money shift for nothing, because that shift costs a lot of money. As somebody who has accidentally done that a time or 2 here in NR2003, I get that feeling of pain. And that'll bring Drew Fast as the 15th and last place finisher in tonight's race, as we've got the 1 to go signal. And it looks like We did get RJ Bishop down the pit lane. You know, he just wanted to get a lap led. I completely get that. Get some bonus points. Out he is, joining everybody else.
Lap led there. Extra lap of fuel as well for a lot of these guys that came down either just this lap or additional time this time by. I like it. Guess it'll have a bit of ground to make up here though, but at a super speedway, it's probably not the biggest of worries.
Corbin Wentz will drop to the back, and it looks like he might be on the lead. I'm trying to see if the 88 is on the lead lap here or not. That is a completely destroyed back end of that Geico Thunderbird. Still showing the 88 as one lap down, I believe. Timing and scoring, he should be back on the lead lap. I'm not sure how effective he is, given that he has just got, as Dale Jr. would say, a giant-ass spoiler. You know, look at the crush panels just completely destroyed on that car, and the whole tail of that automobile just yanked up about maybe 8 or 9 inches. Approaching the halfway point of this race, 3 cautions on the card already. It'll be 26 laps to go as they go back through the gearbox. LaPrade, Focusato, Durbin, Stallhood, and Hyde, your top 5. As Keon Daly has made his way back inside the top 10. We'll see how long he'll stay there with that damaged car. Green flag back out of the way, and Keon drops down to the inside. Not sure if he's got a problem or if he's just letting all the faster cars go on by. I think, yeah, there's definitely an engine issue, and now Tyler Stallhood way down low. Something happened on the 7.
Oh, it's in neutral. It's stuck in neutral, looks like.
Oh my goodness. So a transmission issue on the Ray-Bestos 7 Camry. It's gonna knock him out. He finally got that thing in gear. And he restarted in 4th and is gonna drop all the way out. I don't think I've ever seen that where you couldn't get a car out of gear like that. It just remained in neutral. That is some bad RNG luck right there, as the 2 Millennium Autosport Pontiacs will go nose to tail. Oh, you gotta hate it there for the league admin. And he's gonna drop from 4th all the way down to the last car on the lead lap. Oh.
I don't know if that's something that might have happened in game or if that might have actually been like physical equipment malfunction that's having a Tyler Stallhood. It looks like he's kind of got it rectified. He's going to bring it on down pit road. And up he's just going to park
retire.
it. So problems maybe with the shifter there for that 7 machine. Really tough break there for Stallhood. It's always a punch in the gut to have a random RNG mech fail here in NR2003, but to actually have your physical equipment fail on you, that's definitely a completely different ballpark. And
well, it looks
really
like
tough
it
pill to
was.
swallow for that 7 machine.
So it looks like it was an RNG failure. It looks like it was just a gearbox failure on that 7 machine. That's a tough break. You know, you go back to earlier as, oh my goodness, RJ Bishop just about taking a hop and a skip down the inside embankment as he got squirrely. A little bit of a blip there for Connor Edwards in the 0-2. He's getting a little jittery, but you know, we've seen plenty of RNG nonsense in the last week here on the NASRN. And funny enough, both of the races that we've seen that have involved Tyler Stallhood. You go back to Sunday night's fast race. You know, we had an RNG debris caution. I have never seen an RNG debris caution on online. I haven't seen one in NR in any capacity probably in about maybe 4 years. You got to go back to the 2021 season of the Mission Barbecue Cup Series. But you know, we had one, and then an unfortunate RNG failure for Tyler Stallhood's fast teammate Randall Coleman, who won the Grand National All-Star race earlier on this year. He had a similar issue. I believe he had a gearbox failure. Actually, no, it was a piston failure that took him out of the running, and that completely, that's what opened the door for everybody to try and get that win, which Tyler Stallhood, funny enough, indeed got. But that is 2 instances of retirees by way of gearbox failures. And, I'm not sure if that was a money shift or that was just the whole car failing to shift. But that is that's tough. That's very tough. And so is this battle for the race lead. You got the two Millennium Autosport teammates, bump draft, in tandem drafting a little bit there, and what a dive down on the inside for Apollo Hyde. She's going to try and go underneath there, the 48, and Durbin gets into the wall, then tag, and the 48 is a 74. And that will bring the caution flag back out as RJ Bishop, your pick, completely destroyed in the back end of that 48. And he is going to be beached in the infield by the looks of it.
And he was looking like he was about to go for the lead, too. And just the unfortunate victim there of a chain reaction. That's honestly... That's how it goes sometimes at a track such as this. Unfortunately, going to bite the 48 right in the back bumper there. And from the looks of it, it took a pretty big chunk out of it as well.
It definitely did, and that was almost the exact same thing, damage-wise, that happened to Corbin Wentz. I don't think I've seen that before, where the left side tires are just completely blown. And like you said, a chain reaction crash. It looked like LaPrade was the one that got into the 48. So that was so tough for him. He's got both left side tires down. And, Crystal Bennett. What happened back in here? Crystal Bennett goes around. Emmy Schizotto was also in it. We had a little bit of a kerfuffle off turn 4.
Uh-oh.
Talladega. Boys racing, boys and girls racing. Might be a little bit too much whiskey in the glass, if you ask me.
It seems like it. It's been quite the wild race so far here from Talladega, and it just keeps on getting wilder. RNG's absolutely on one tonight, and the crash has definitely been something else here so far. And just getting past halfway through here from Talladega, I know we still definitely have a lot more action in store, but what a wild night it has definitely been so far.
It certainly has. We'll take a look at what happened and bring out caution number 4 as RJ Bishop will finally limp that 48 car to the pit area. And that was a long one for him. That took him, he was in the infield for a while. We'll go and see what happened again. It all got started when Ike got into the outside wall. He pounded a couple times, got into LaPrade, and catching some significant air was RJ with the back end stepping out like that. He looked a little bit like Corey Day, with that horrifying looking crash at Charlotte. I don't know if you saw that live, Caleb, but that was, my heart sank for a second because I thought Corey Day was going into the infield. That was brutal.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. That was, honestly, in the moment, that was definitely heartbreaking to see what would have been Kyle Busch's truck just getting completely junked. But that trajectory, I thought for a split second, too, that thing was about to launch over the wall and go straight into the infield. Luckily, it did land, but still, that did result in a smack right to the driver's side door and the opening of the wall. So regardless of what ended up going back, what ended up happening, it was still quite the rough ride there for Corey Day. But and we've definitely seen a handful of wild crashes lately, both here and online and IRL as well. It's definitely been
well, online is a given with the wild crashes.
That's true. That is true.
And looking at Charlotte, looking at that area, because that's about, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that's about the area where the infield roval is. You go over that wall in any capacity, you're going into the tunnel, because there is, looking at Google Maps and being there in person, you go over the wall. If Corey Day did go into the wall, you might be going into a campground, and if there's nothing in the way, you're going down probably about maybe 25, 30 feet down into the tunnel they've got going into the infield down the back straightaway. And that just becomes, a absolute worst case scenario. Unfortunately, the car stayed down, the roof flaps did their job, but that was, in the moment, that was absolutely terrifying. I'm glad to see him climb out. And of course, like you were talking about, that being Kyle Busch's truck, if that happened, if worst case scenario did happen, that would have been absolutely horrible.
probably gone from absolutely gut-wrenching to just straight up incomprehensible. So luckily that didn't end up happening, but like I said, it just this past week or so in the NASCAR world just has not felt real, and my goodness. It did definitely feel a little bit more real, though, seeing Daniel Suarez win the Coca-Cola 600. I could definitely tell you that much. That was definitely very feel-good, considering not only the car that he was driving, but considering who the first person to actually give him a big break opportunity was over in the Truck Series a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, just the amount of people that Kyle Busch has, helped out and throughout his entire career has been incredible. Going down to the order just off of memory alone, I think I'm trying to remember if Ross Chastain has gotten anything from Kyle Busch Motorsports. Like you said, Daniel Suarez, William Byron,
Christopher Bell.
Yes, C. Bell. That was how the world was introduced to Christopher Bell, with him flipping in a KBM truck at Daytona. I'm trying to remember everything off the top of my head. It's just how many drivers that he has impacted in his career, as an owner and as a driver as well. And he's certainly going to be missed. Green flag back out of the gear with 18 laps to go, and Apollo Hyde leads them back through the gearbox. 13 cars still in this race, and still it is anybody's race, Caleb. And I really doubt that we have seen our last caution flag of the night, especially how aggressive things are going to ramp up. You got Tretogger in this second spot. We know that he's going to be aggressive. He's going to dart down to the inside as Hyde threw the block up high. Anybody going to go along with this 60 car? Crystal Bennett back in the fold. Yeah, how about Emmy Schizzato still back up in here, been involved in 2 different accidents tonight. You know what place she's in? 7th. Plenty of time to go as Don LaPrade had a moment. He got into the wall, and that's going to open up a gap for the 97. Schizzato down to the inside, trying to get inside the top 5.
Look at Bishop.
And RJ Bishop, absolute credit to that 48 team. I don't know how they were able to fix that car, but they are somehow able to fix it. He's back in the fray, and he is keeping pace. And same thing with Corbin Wentz. Corbin is back on the lead lap. He has been able to repair that car ever so slightly whenever we've had cautions come out, which they have been frequent ever since that 88 got into the inside wall. He is going to be looking for a top 10 result as well. It's Crystal Bennett going to the lead. I know she's a big fan of the Talladega Superspeedway, as she's going to be split 3 wide. We might get 4 wide if we're unlucky at the stripe, 3 wide for 3rd. And Apollo Hyde will gun to the race lead. We know how Crystal, she loves Talladega. You go back to the last Fuel Grand National race we had here late last year. Crystal Bennett, last lap pass, took that race win away from the Bulldog of Zach Rogers to claim her first Fuel victory. Could she be getting one here tonight as well in the 84? Is it going to be back-to-back Sportsman wins at Talladega for Don LaPrade? He has been all over the place in the 74 throughout the entire grid tonight. He's going to be looking for 2nd. They're 3 wide off 4. Tretogger had a moment, had to control the car, corral it back into its stable. Down on the inside apron a little bit. It's going to get tight, bottlenecking back at the start-finish line. And we're just talking about, we are talking about a straight horse race here at Talladega, where it is literally, it's going to be 15 laps of non-stop action, and we're going to be calling it like a horse race all throughout. This is going to be fun. These last 15 laps are going to be a blast, Caleb.
Still far from over is this race, and like we're talking about, anybody, especially in this main pack, could still get it done. They're fanning it back down to 2 wide, never mind. Bishop all the way to the bottom. Here comes LaPrade looking to take the race lead away. Well, Apollo High going to have some help here from the 37 of Focus Sato. LaPrade has some help coming on the inside from Tretogger and RJ Bishop. But Togger going to have other ideas. And then number 60, he dives to the inside looking to take the lead. LaPrade will clear though on the outside. He slots in front of the 100. They're side by side down the back straightaway. Togger looking to try and get the lead in that period after at number 60, but look at Bishop 3 wide to the bottom. Oh my goodness. It's getting crazy here from Talladega.
It definitely is. As RJ Bishop on the inside, trying to get there. You're on board with that NOS 48 car, and like we said, credit to them for fixing this car back up. He's up to 5th right now. 13 laps to go, and Apollo Hyde continuing to hold serve. Now that outside lane has got a lot of momentum, but they're going to go 3 wide for the lead, being split in the middle there like a banana sundae is going to be that 74 car. Togger just about crowds the 100 of Hyde into the concrete wall. And that was nearly very dangerous, but we'll keep it straight for now. And they are not done wrecking yet, Caleb. I feel like that we're going to see a pretty big crash at the front of the field in the next 5 or so laps right before the point of no return. It might come from RJ Bishop. He is fighting the handling on that Pontiac. Oh my goodness, he is just all over the place, fidgeting like a toddler needing to use the bathroom. He is just all over Hyde, very tight through the corner, 3 wide. Crystal Bennett looking for a little bit of a lane because we're at that point in the race where it's going to be time for the Carson Hocevar patented if gap car. And you've got 12 cars, make it 11 cars, just about underneath the picnic blanket right now. Connor Edwards has dropped off of the main pack, and Keon Daly, with his engine issues, lumbering around 34 seconds behind these drivers, and he's going to be put a lap down pretty soon because he has got a hulking pack of cars right behind him. 11 laps to go. They're just about on the same straightaway as that 94 car. Fortunately, lap down traffic is not as bad online as it is offline. Hyde goes up the track. You're starting to see it's been quite a little bit of time as Hyde looking to get a little bit of a draft off the back end of the 94. You got to tuck back in line. That didn't work, and I know Keon had a little bit of Hershey's chocolate syrup in the driver's seat watching that 100 zoom on by. I really, she's just going for a little bit of a drag in there, but that ultimately hurt her as she's going to drop to 6th. Maybe even 7th in that 100. LaPrade back to the front. 10 toes and 10 fingers hanging from the flag stand. Just about 26 miles to go here at Talladega.
Zach Durbin in the 86 on that inside lane. That 86 was also involved in an earlier accident to where it didn't look like they had that much damage. Pretty much just about all the tires are blowing out in that 86, but they're now back up here. Going to try and go for 2nd on teammate Vincenzo Boccasato. Seems like the racetrack just a bit. The 33 Grant Warren, though, going to slot back in line.
Oh, Emmy in the wall.
Look like in the outside wall. Off of turn number 4. This could give the inside lane a bit of a shot here. Maybe pull up and pull alongside, but they're definitely looking a lot more disorganized than that top lane. They're going to quickly get their momentum back and keep pushing. LaPrade staying stagnant there on that outside lane.
Apollo very twitchy, nearly got into RJ. And that suits Corbin Wentz just about into the grass. He's able to drive back up. And remember, that's going to have championship implications the way things have been running right now. Because LaPrade has led 13 laps tonight. Most laps have been led by Apollo Hyde. If the way things are running right now, going into Watkins Glen next week, LaPrade is going to have the points lead over Apollo Hyde. With 8 laps to go, of course, nothing is set in stone for where these drivers are running right now, but LaPrade, that's his 14th lap lead of the evening. If he leads 3 more, that will give him an additional 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. And that's really going to swing things in his favor, going into a road course where you want as much gap as you can. LaPrade, he's pretty good on the road courses, but not nearly as good as Apollo Hyde has been. Of course, you go back to Cape Cod last year, back in Season 3, where those two, where both Apollo and Dunn were just duking it out at CCIR. So those two just about even on the road courses. And you know what? I take it back. LaPrade is not as good as Apollo Hyde. He's just about on the level as Apollo is. on those road courses, that's going to be a battle, and you want as much of a gap as you can get going into these final 3 races of the season. Again, you look at these last couple of races. You've got Talladega, you got Watkins Glen, you got Pikes Peak, and you've got Michigan. Those are 3 more races coming up, and tonight is still very far from over, but we're 1 lap away from the point of no return, so everybody has got about 2.6 miles to get 1 more yellow out of their systems before that's it. Kitchen's closed. We're off and running to the end. I'm surprised things haven't gotten as aggressive as they were earlier on, because these guys have tamed it down a little bit. I think they're just waiting until the final 3 laps to hit the go button. Oh, and Crystal hitting the go button now. I don't think she wanted to. She got punted all the way down to the low side, and that's going to be a couple of free spots for the 100. Paulo goes up to the high side, coming around turn number 4. 5, count 'em, 5 laps to go here at the Talladega Superspeedway, and that is it. Last call has reached its conclusion. You wreck now, no caution. We're green to the end of this race, and Apollo Hyde has gone up to 4th. She is utilizing the Larson line here at Talladega. I don't even think those words have been used together in the English language. That's exactly what Apollo just used. She has slingshotted herself from 12th to 4th in 2 laps, and has put herself back in contention in that Subaru factory machine. Emi Schizzato looking to get 2 Superspeedway wins in a row. Vincenzo Focasato's last win in Fuel came on a Superspeedway at Paris, and Don LaPrade trying to get win number 6 of the year, trying to get one for the thumb on the other side of his hands with 4 laps to go. And this is far from over.
Absolutely. We are, like you mentioned, we're at the point of no return at this point. All bets are off. The yellow flag has been 86. So at this point, whatever happens, happens. Whatever happens here at Talladega stays in Talladega. And we're definitely gearing up here for quite the interesting finish. Bishop jumps to the inside, trying to make something happen. He's got Ike Curtin and Craig Togger down there. Focusato maybe thinking about going low on the 74. You got Keon Daly there on the apron, letting the leaders by, but the inside, they're trying to make something happen. Bishop side by side with Apollo Hyde for now. But still, Don LaPrade trying to manage the lanes. Focusato behind him, maybe trying to think about what to do, what kind of move to make and win. Yes, Schizzato there in the 97 being pushed by the 100 of Apollo Hyde. Grant Warren, Trek Togger also waiting in the wings on that outside lane. Coming at 2 laps to go.
Oh, and RJ off into the infield. Around he goes. He is flipping down the back straightaway. He is about 35 feet high into the air, pirouetting in the grass, but we remain green. Goodness gracious, that was a hit.
Okay, Ryan Preece.
That looks straight like, who was that, Ricky Rudd or Bill Elliott, or no, it was Mark Martin, I think, that went flipping in a similar manner here at Talladega. But here we go, sticks high in the air, 2 laps to go, and Connor Edwards now in the gun sights of the leaders.
Ooh, boy, they're staying single file here for now. I definitely have no doubt that probably shook everybody up just a little bit, but still at this point there's only 1.5 more laps to go, so you got to keep being aggressive here. Crystal Bennett jumps to the inside, has a huge run in that 84, but has no help. Gonna try and squeeze right in behind Apollo Hyde. He's gonna make it work. Here we come. White flag is waving. Trek Togger also on that inside lane trying to clear. He will. You're going to make a move. You need to make it now. Here we go.
Bell lap at Talladega. LaPrade leads them to the white. Can they lead them to the checkered flag? You got Focusato down to the inside. He's got a ledge on the 74, and everybody is going to go on the inside. LaPrade might get hung out to dry here on the final lap at Talladega. They're going to go single file once again down the back straightaway for the final time, and it's Focusato who's got a push there from the 74 of LaPrade. Schizzato runs in 3rd. Togger 4th car on the inside. And trying to get a little bit of a run there is Crystal Bennett on the outside. Here they come off turns 3 and 4. All bets are off. All of them are on the table. Trouble in the back. Up into the catch fence goes the 100 of Apollo Hyde. Meanwhile, back at the front of the field, we might be side by side. It's going to be a 3-horse race to the line. Focasato, LeBron at the stripe. Vincenzo Focasato in a 3-way dead heat wins at Talladega. Oh my lord, it doesn't get any crazier than that.
I got chills.
That's fuel, baby. 2 races in a row, a last lap pass for the win, and Bennett and LaPrade even at the line. It was a tie for second between Bennett and LaPrade. Both of them were .039 behind Vincenzo Focasato, and Bennett just got it by a ledge.
Oh my goodness.
And it's showing the winner, Dunlaprade, for whatever reason. We'll try and get that resituated here. Oh my goodness. Wow. You want to know the funny thing, Caleb? This is the second time this week that I was contemplating whether the race was going to be a live stream or if it was going to be tape delayed. And I was able to get there just in time for a live stream. And that is the second time that we have had a dead heat at the stripe. We had one between Dunlaprade and Landon Lyle on Wednesday night, and that is the second time in as many days that Dunlaprade is just going to get edged down at the line. But Vincenzo Focasato, how about that? Wow.
It really does not get much better than that. Like you said, this is fuel. This is Talladega. Man, what a night here from Alabama.
And we got to go ahead and take a look at what just transpired as Focasato doing his burnout. Going to take that thing to victory lane. But we got to take a look at it here we'll take a look at it in one moment as we'll save the replay. Because that is the last thing we want is to lose that replay. Oh my lord, I can't even tell who got there between the 84 and the 74, and that was the battle for second. So we'll watch this whole last couple of corners here. And we'll start with watching the back. Yeah, Togger got into the 100, and watch. Dunn goes to the high side. Vin goes down low, and watch this 84 of Crystal down to the low side at the line. That is just beautiful. Straight beautiful. And look at this. Look. I have no words. Oh, my Lord. I have never in my lifetime seen anything like that. It doesn't get any better than that, Caleb. That is art. And you know what? That might be the purest form of race car pornography that I have ever seen. Wow.
That's definitely something to say considering what you sent me earlier on today. But, man, yeah, that was definitely quite the race here tonight for the Talladega Super Speedway. Just on the last lap, everybody dropping everything, going for whatever they can. That's just honestly some of the purest form of stock car racing you can have. Just a bunch of drivers barreling towards the wall at over 200 miles an hour. And like Slapshoes said, once you get a bunch of stock cars going over 200 miles an hour, covering a football field every second and willing to run over their own grandma for victory, you just get some absolute crazy stuff. And we definitely saw it here tonight from the Talladega Super Speedway. What a wild race and what a wild finish to top it all off. Like I said, doesn't get much better than that. This is fuel. This is Dega, and what a night this indeed was.
Yeah, and looking at this place, I'm trying to decipher who in fact got second, because I think from here, that was even. That was just right down the pipe between Dunn and Crystal. I can't tell who got second. That is insane. I'm pretty sure they tied, and that's gonna have to be. Oh my lord! I don't know how they're gonna sort that out. That is incredible. Nothing short of incredible here for Fuel. Oh my lord! And then we'll right before we go into the post race replays, we'll take a look and see what happened with RJ Bishop, because he went flying into that. Like you said, he was doing his best Ryan Preece impression. Look how high he got. Oh my lord! As he and Ike Durbin got together and. Yeah, watch this 48 car up into the wall. He did a Corey Day, but the negative version, like we're talking about. Look at the height. Look at the height. That was exactly Ryan Preece. Wow. I got no words. And that's not good if you're a broadcaster.
Man, that's...
What a race. What a finish. And like we said, Vincenzo Focusato, the one that gets it done by 4/100ths of a second by both second and third place. It does not get any closer than that, and we will talk to everybody that finished right under a blanket of one another here in a short moment. But goodness gracious, that was a thing of beauty. And we'll be back here in just a couple of moments for post-race interviews here after a wild one at the Talladega Superspeedway here for Fuel Sportsman here for the UNsirius XD 125 at Talladega.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me double shot of time.
Talladega never disappoints, and it certainly didn't disappoint tonight with the second closest finish in Fuel Sportsman Series history here in the Sirius 125 at Talladega. Trey Wright and Caleb Rose bringing you the action here on the North American Sim Racing Network. And Caleb, your initial final thoughts on this race, because it could not have been any closer here for the win, and it couldn't have been any closer for second. Unofficially as of right now, Crystal Bennett being scored as second, but even down to the final hundredth of a second, it was dead even between those two drivers. Your initial thoughts on the end of an insane race here at Talladega, an insane finish.
Yeah, insane is definitely one of the many words that I could use to describe a finish such as that. That was absolutely incredible here from the Talladega Super Speedway. Had incredible racing just about all night long. Like I was talking about earlier, just a bunch of these drivers just absolutely on the edge of their control, fighting the cars from either jumping out from underneath them or from slapping the outside wall here off of these corners. These guys were absolutely on the edge of control here tonight. That definitely made it quite exhilarating up here watching from the booth, and definitely led to both a lot of gnarly racing and a lot of gnarly wrecks as well. Definitely saw a fair share of those in that race, and a fair share of drama as well. As, like I said, RNG definitely kind of seemed to ramp wild in this race with a handful of mechanical stuff. But like I said, just to top off what has been a spectacular race here from Talladega, a great three-wide finish there with Focusato, Crystal Bennett, and Dunn LaPrade. And while second might at least still be under review, at least for now, but so the winner definitely number 37 of Vincenzo Focusato. Great run from that 37 car. Kind of just stayed in the tire tracks, that number 74 Dunn LaPrade throughout that last entire run, kind of just waiting for the right moment, and struck there heading into the final lap, and that turned out to be the perfect move there for that 37. Able to fend off everybody coming to the line. Great move and great win from that 37 of Focusato. Definitely got to feel a little bit for Dunn LaPrade considering how many laps he led in this race. Same for Apollo High, but sometimes that's just how super speedway racing can be. But still, what a race here from the Talladega Super Speedway. What a win for Focusato. And it's definitely going to be interesting to see how everything shakes up after this race and the points and everything like that. Definitely going to be very, very fascinating, that's for sure.
It is going to be fascinating, and we'll get a chance to talk with these drivers, starting with the driver that is tentatively being scored in third place right now. Driver of the number 74, Chester's Family Market, Chevy Monte Carlo. Mr. Dunn LaPrade, you got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
Yep, I do.
Well, for the second time this week in as many races, you unfortunately are on the other end of a photo finish at the line, and it could not have got any closer in that battle for second, where you and Crystal Bennett were dead even at the line. Walk us through that final 10-lap run and that final sprint to the checkered flag.
Yeah, those final 10 laps or so, I was just trying to bide my time, running up high. That was really the dominant the middle of the highlight. Really, the middle was pretty much the dominant line all night. So just trying to run the middle towards the top a little bit just to protect the lead, until the final lap. Then you can be able to go for it or whatever. I knew that Vincenzo is a very reliable driver, so I always trust him. Whenever I'm in front of him, I'm behind him, or beside me, wherever I can always trust him. So he made a clever move down the inside on turn 1 and 2. I tried to get back at him off of turn 4 coming to the triangle, but I thought about making a move to the inside of him, but I thought I was probably going to wreck myself because I was probably really eager to turn the wheel hard left and probably wreck myself. So I went up high to try to at least salvage what I could salvage, at least make something happen. And it did not work out the way I wanted to, but just very happy to be able to do well in one of these super speedway races and what feels like forever. It feels like, at least in this league. I've been too nice, too conservative, and I needed to be a little bit more greedy this time. This time, just to put myself in the right position at the right time. Except that idiotic move I made of Crystal on the outside of turn 4 was like 18 or so laps to go, whatever it was. I was pretty much an idiot on my part, on my end. That's probably the most idiotic thing I think I could have done. But luckily, Crystal and I, we both were able to keep it straight. We both were able to finish second and third, and obviously Vincenzo winning the race as well. So all is good.
All is definitely good, and it's a very big points day for you as well. As looking at the standings, and especially with Apollo Hyde getting involved in that final lap crash, that final corner crash. Looking at the point standings, you're going to be the points leader going into the final 3 races of the season and going into Watkins Glen next week. Of course, we know how much of a rivalry that you and Apollo have got on these road courses. You go back to a last season of CCIR, you two banging doors off of one another. And what are you looking forward to at Watkins Glen next week in this fight for the championship? And you got 3 races left in the season. You've got Watkins Glen next week, Pikes Peak in a fortnight, and in 3 weeks we've got the season finale at Michigan. What are you looking forward to here in this championship battle with 3 weeks to go?
I'm expecting a very fierce battle for the championship between Apollo and I. I know Apollo and I have been duking it out all season long, so I know and they know that they're really talented as well. So I expect it to be a very fierce battle for the win at Watkins Glen, and really the final 3 races of the season. Apollo and I, we're going to give it 110% going down to the wire. So it's going to be really fun, I think. We got a couple of good tracks coming up. Obviously, Watkins Glen, Pikes Peak, and Michigan. That's a pretty good mix for the final 3 races of the season for sure. Hopefully I could be able to come out on top at all 3 of them. I really love Watkins Glen. It's always one of my strongest road courses. Never won at Pikes Peak before, so I'm hoping to get the win over there as well. And I hope to get another win at Michigan if I can. But if not, I'll be able to salvage what I could salvage and hopefully at least have a chance to win. That's all I can ask for.
It's all you can really ask for as a driver, and just trying to stay consistent over these next 3 weeks. But Caleb, you got anything for our runner-up finisher here tonight in a dead heat, in a dead 3-way battle at the line?
I definitely have to say that was quite the race here tonight from the Talladega Super Speedway. Definitely got to ask you what was going through your mind there coming around to take the white flag, especially considering what was going on earlier on in the race and just a couple laps ago with RJ Bishop flipping like Ryan Preece there in the infield. But I know once that last lap hit, everybody just kind of went crazy. Everybody going for whatever they could on that last lap. So what was going through your mind there throughout that final lap of the race, and especially coming to the line, seeing that you guys were going to go 3 wide here for the win?
Well, first and foremost, you saying that RJ Bishop had a Ryan Preece-like looking crash has caused me a great deal of concern. First and foremost, but second, hope he's okay. But second of all, I knew what I was expecting coming to the white flag. I knew that if Essential was going to make a run and get beside me, I knew that I was expecting it. I that's when you go to these super speedway races, you always have to expect these kinds of things, even when you're the leader. And because I mean, it's super speedway racing. It can be very, very unpredictable, as you all know. So just just trying to at least survive. At least get a good finish, if not get the win. Because I know the super speedway racing can be very, very chaotic filled and nerve-wracking to say the least, just because of the nature of these super speedways. So glad I was able to survive the final lap and be able to come home third. I'd say it's pretty good, all things considered.
I would definitely say so myself, and you guys just absolutely put on a show here tonight. Plate racing and fuel, and especially with these Sportsman cars, is certainly just a ton of fun. And like I said, you guys put on one whale of a performance this evening. But Dunn, we'll give you the floor to thank any sponsors you want. If there's anybody you want to shout out here on the NASRN airwaves for our tentative third place finisher, unofficially, Dunn LaPrade, the floor is yours, my man.
Well, first and foremost, want to give a shout out to you and Caleb on the booth for commentating and broadcasting the race. Shout out to Tyler Stallhood for the league. Shout out to Tyler, Apollo, and Ike as admins of the league. They always do a wonderful job. I obviously recommend anyone to check out the Field Racing League. It's always really fun to race with these guys and gals, and great group of people. And shout out to everyone watching at home. I hope it was a very fun race for everyone to watch. Great finish to cap it all off too. As I hope that was exciting for everyone. Shout out to all the drivers that participated in tonight's race. Let's see, trying to think of who else. Shout out to Team EFR, and yeah, shout out to everyone else for making me a better driver.
You were certainly one of the better drivers here tonight, if I'm not mistaken, leading the most laps this evening. And, of course, getting a lot of good bonus points on Apollo Hyde. And it's definitely going to be very fun these next 3 weeks watching you guys battle for this championship here for Season 4 Sportsman. But, Dunn, always a pleasure to have you on post-race. And we'll see you next week at Watkins Glen for the semi-penultimate race of Season 4 Sportsman.
Yep, thank you all.
Have a good night.
Good night, y'all.
User was moved out
That
of
was
your
Dunn
channel.
LaPrade, driver of the number 74 Chester's Family Markets Chevrolet Monte Carlo, your third place finisher here tonight. Tentatively, like we said, still waiting to see the official scoring. We probably won't get that until tomorrow. The official scoring for tonight's race. Well, I'll get the graph up here shortly, but while we do that, we'll
User was moved to
invite
your
our
channel.
second place finisher here tonight, driver the number 84, Irwin Tools, Ford Taurus. Miss Crystal Bennett, you got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
I have a copy.
Well, that was a very topsy-turvy race for you tonight. You were all over the whole field this evening, and at the end, it was a bona fide tie between you and Dunn LaPrade for second. Just walk us through the final 5-lap stint there, and especially that final sprint to the end there, an incredible final lap.
So I was trying to make the bottom lane work there, trying to form a bottom lane, and every time I would go down there with a run, nobody seemed to go with me. I'd either get taken 3 wide or I just get shuffled back. And then I finally got forced down there after I bumper graded off the 97. And I thought I was completely out of it, but I still had the draft. I was able to somehow keep momentum, catch back up, work the lines a little bit. They died in front of me. Don't know how I made it through that. And when I finally got the run to go to the inside, it was a little bit too late, but I was still able to somehow walk away with a second there.
Yeah, and you guys just put on an absolute show there at the end. And, Talladega has been one of your strongest tracks as a driver. Of course, last time we were here in Grand National, you won a last lap pass, and you were just 0.04 of a second away from doing the same thing. How much do you love racing at these plate tracks, especially the insanity that is Talladega?
I don't. Which,
okay, gentleman digger.
I guess is a little bit counterintuitive because I have good finishes on them. I know how to race them well. I hate plate racing. I think it's stupid, but I guess it's about as stupid as you make it out to be.
Well, hey, sometimes the stupidity just pays off, and hey, second. I don't think anybody will sniff at second place. Especially in a field as stacked as tonight's field was, with a lot of heavy hitters here tonight. But plate racing, as somebody has driven myself, in our online and offline, and not even just NR2003, I've done a little iRacing on my brother's account. I've done some NASCAR heat lobbies. I can see you why drivers really don't like plate racing, and it's more of a fan service, I would say, at this point. But Caleb, you got anything for our runner-up finisher here tonight?
That was definitely some race tonight from the Talladega Super Speedway. Gotta give you a lot of credit there, keeping your foot in it there towards the end, fighting for every single last position, and almost damning it there at the line. Definitely watching you throughout that last couple laps, making some fantastic moves, and didn't quite get that 37 at the line, but sure got freaking close. So definitely have to give you a whole lot of credit for going after it there on that last lap. Fantastic job and a fantastic result here tonight from a wild race from Talladega. And definitely got to give you a lot of credit for keeping the car clean as well, considering just how crazy this race was. Definitely a feat there in itself. So great job out there tonight, Crystal.
Thank you.
Well, Crystal, you know the drill. We'll give you the floor to thank anybody that you want. If there's anybody you want to shout out here on the NASRN airwaves. For our runner-up finisher here tonight in the UNsirius XD125, Crystal Bennett, the floor is yours.
Well, all the friends I had kind of got killed, but we have Tyler Stallhood, Keon Daly, Drew Fast, and Apollo Hyde. All of them wanted to work with me. All of them tried to work with me. Unfortunately, none of them saw it to the finish. But it is always a pleasure sharing the track with all of them.
It definitely is, and you guys put on one heck of a race here tonight, and it's going to be a fun next couple of weeks here in Sportsman like we were talking about. We got Watkins Glen coming up next week. We got Pikes Peak in Michigan, and those are going to be some fun races, as well as on Wednesday nights as well over on Grand National, and we're going to be looking forward to seeing you trying to get that second win of your fuel career. But until then, thanks, Crystal, for coming on post-race, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. We'll see you then.
Have a good night.
User left your channel.
That was Crystal Bennett, driver of the number 84 Irwin Tools Ford Taurus for Lap Car Enterprises. Getting the second place finish here tonight. And it's time to bring in the man of the hour, driver of the number 37 Kodak Pontiac from Millennium Autosport, Mr. Vincenzo Focusata. You got a copy of us here.
How about that?
How about that indeed? That was a finish for the ages, and nothing like a last lap pass here at Talladega to get the pump, get the blood flowing, get the juices flowing.
Ooh.
Take us through that incredible final sequence where you went from second to first, starting from that initial move down to the inside, just past the start-finish line, taking the white flag.
To be honest, there wasn't much pre-planning that went into that one. I was more so focused on my mirror and what Emmy and Apollo were doing behind me, because any move that I would try to do for the lead would have to be dependent on where they were, because the only thing I didn't want to do was to put myself alongside Dunn, parachute us both, and then just have the third place car go screaming by. So I didn't think that I really had a clean, safe shot to do that until the white flag. And I guess one lap's all I needed. I didn't know if it would work, but I didn't think sticking behind Dunn was gonna get me anywhere further than second. So shut my eyes, dove into it, and thank goodness it worked.
Yeah, that incredible dive down to the inside, and you were able to hold on for the rest of the lap, but coming through the tri-oval, the whole field coming apart behind you. You see Dunn go to the outside. You trying to block him. You see the 84 of Crystal go into the inside. You're in the middle of three wide. You're Lightning McQueen at the Motor Speedway of the South. Walk us through the final about 500 yards of this race, from the middle of the tri-oval where you guys are three wide to taking that checkered flag and the exhilaration that hits.
To be honest, it was probably as more so lucky than anything. I feel really bad, by the way. Got to shout out everybody whose races fell apart really late in those last few laps. It involved a lot of people who were up front in the mix, and it's always a shame when your day ends early. But unfortunately, there were only three of us left to in a spot to really go for the win there, like you said. So I didn't really think there was anything I could possibly do. I was trying to think, should I block high? Should I block low? Should I block high? And I realized that it didn't really matter. It depended on who Crystal went to help with, and she had such a huge run that it made more sense for her to help neither of us and go for the win herself. So um, it's just it was positioning and timing in a manner that I couldn't control, and I just got really lucky that it worked out such that I had a nose ahead just in time to make it to the line. So I really want to thank Dunn and Crystal for racing me clean all the way there, because we all know exactly how super speedways go. One touch is all it takes to send everything crashing down, and they could have absolutely done that with the win on the line. I really, really, really respect them, and how cleanly they treat me every week, and it was a pleasure to have a mad dash to the line and see who came out on top, because I had no clue which one of us three was going to be till the flag waved.
I know that was just absolutely incredible, absolutely bonkers, that race to the line. And 2026 has been such a great year for you so far. Already 3 wins on the season, if I'm not mistaken. A championship in the Super Speedway Series, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember if it was you or Taylor that got the championship. I believe it was Taylor.
Mr. Stolworthy.
It was Stolworthy that got the championship. So still 3 wins on the year so far. I'm trying to remember if he got any other super speedway here in 2026, but 3 wins, 2 of them coming in Grand National, or 2 of them coming in Grand National if I'm not mistaken, and one of them coming here in Sportsman. What can you really say about the first half of the year so far? How well do you think you've improved, and what can we look for in the back end of a 2026 coming up here? Because you've got the rest of Grand National Season 9 coming up. You're looking to be in a pretty good spot in regards of that, and you've still got a little bit of time here with 3 races to go in Season 4 for Sportsman. What are you thinking about here in these next couple of weeks, and what are you looking forward to for the rest of the season?
I'm just I don't suppose I have an approach that's been any different than normally. I'm just trying to it's an answer I've given 100 times over, so you're gonna have to forgive me for the broken record, but I'm trying never to step away from the mindset that I had from when I started, because I've never been a particularly raw talent racer. I never had outright speed, and so when I first showed up 10 years ago, the way in which I could get the best result possible and get as close to the front as possible was to just drive with one singular goal in mind and don't care about anything else. Just don't hit anything. Just don't hit anyone. And because more often than not, that gets you a lot farther than you'd think it would. So all those years of practice and support from other people with teaching me setup knowledge has I think I've improved over that time in terms of outright speed, but I just try never to lose that mindset, because it's we all know the phrase, in order to finish first. we all know the second half of that one. So yeah, trying not to actually do anything too differently, because that's the only philosophy I really know how to go by. So I just try my best and see where it ends up. Sometimes occasionally it's really lucky and it's a win. Sometimes it's towards the back, and just got to take each one as they come and see how they go, and try to learn from each of them. It was a really long-winded and probably off-topic response. I don't remember the original question, so I guess that's all you're going to get. I hope it works.
I think that was about as perfect as you could answer the question. Caleb, you got any final thoughts for our winner here tonight?
Ooh, definitely have to first and foremost say congratulations on winning that absolutely crazy race here tonight from the Talladega Super Speedway. That race honestly just about had it all. Had its fair share of fantastic racing and chaotic moments as well. And that finish was absolutely the cherry on top to it all. And definitely have to congratulate you on the win. Of course, that move you made there coming to the white flag, or at least on the white flag going into turn number 1. I was definitely quite the start of what was definitely a very interesting last lap of everybody just going crazy, going for whatever they can. You were able to survive all the chaos and come out on top here at the Talladega Super Speedway. So huge congratulations to you for that win here tonight. A well-deserved victory for you, my man.
Yeah, means a ton, Caleb. Thank you so much. I hope it was a good show for you guys. And yeah, one more time, huge, huge respect to Dunn and Crystal and everyone else for um, driving as hard and as clean as they always do, and for making that such a great race.
It definitely was a great race and a great finish. And it's funny how some things work. You less than a week ago, you were in Indianapolis, seeing the closest finish in Indy 500 history. Tonight, you get to make a little bit of your history of your own with the second closest finish in Sportsman history as well. Vin, before we let you loose, we'll give you the floor to thank anybody that you want. If there's any sponsors you want to shout out here for our winner in a dead three-way heat tonight, Mr. Vincenzo Focusato. The floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, Cameron, I hope you enjoyed the show. Please, please don't hurt me. I gave you your shout out. Please, I don't know what more you want from me. I can't give any more than that. Um, no, but for real, I appreciate you tuning in. You too, Andrew and Dan and anyone else. Happy birthday to my baby brother. On Wednesday night's race was my brother's birthday, and I really wanted to try and give him as strong a result as I could, as grand scheme of things, unimportant as sim racing is. I wanted to do well for him, and I definitely didn't pull that off. So we'll just call this a belated birthday performance for him. But yeah, oh my lord, that was today. Okay, today was 10 years to the day since the 2016 Indy 500. That's the first. That's my favorite race I've ever watched in my life. Wow. Right. Thanks to the admins for putting so much effort into making this a good show for everyone. Thank you to you guys for literally making the show for all of us to watch and enjoy. Thanks to everybody again one more time for a fun race, and it's always such a pleasure to be here. And I guess I didn't get an interview on Wednesday, so I'll take the opportunity to say that we're thinking of Samantha Brexton and Lennox Bush and the entire Bush family. We have no direct connections to any of them, obviously, but want to offer our support as I want our community to collectively offer our support as race fans to them all the same. I think that's everyone I can think of. Shout out to Team EFR, if anyone at home is watching. Such a good race, such a fun time. I'm really happy to be here, victory or otherwise. So thank you guys one more time for everything you do for us, Trey and Caleb.
Hey, we're happy to be here as well, and you guys are the ones that put on the incredible show down below. And I think it's fitting. Two races being broadcast, and we'll throw in the IRP race as well from Friday evening, because that was by all accounts an incredible race as well. Three incredible races, all after the passing of Kyle Busch. I think he was even though, like you said, none of us have direct links to Kyle Busch as well. I think he was smiling down on us from heaven. Watching those races, and I think he made them absolute bangers. Two photo finishes in the span of 48 hours, in the span of about 50 hours here in Fuel. That is, I think we got some rowdiness here in the Fuel Racing League. That's for sure.
Yeah, can't let the IndyCar drivers have all the fun, eh?
Well, Vincenzo, thank you so much for coming on here post-race, and we'll see you Wednesday evening for over at your home track for the Kettle Lakes 100 at Michigan. That's going to be a ton of fun. We'll be at Michigan for Sportsman later on this season, and go down and celebrate with your guys, because you guys definitely earned it.
Will do. Looking forward to it. I'm really excited.
Have a good night, man.
Thank you, gentlemen.
User was moved out of
That was
your
Vincenzo
channel.
Focusato, driver of the number 37 Millennium Autosport Pontiac Grand Prix, winner of tonight's UNsirius XD 125 at Talladega, and the margin of victory between three automobiles just at 4/100ths of a second. It still doesn't feel real, Caleb, that we got this photogenic finish. Like I said, that was literally out of cars. The only thing that would made it a little bit like just a tad bit closer to cars if they were dead even at the line and everybody tied with everybody. But other than that, it doesn't get any better than what we had here tonight. Fuel Sportsman and plate racing here at Fuel, it's a beautiful thing. It's an art form.
Absolutely. It's always usually such a fun ride here in Fuel whenever we do take a venture here to these super speedway tracks. It's like I said pre-race, you always expect the unexpected here at tracks such as these. You never really know what's going to happen, and just about anything can happen. Anybody can win from anywhere in the field, and you can see just about a little bit of everything in these races. We definitely saw that here tonight with just about a little bit of everything in this race. Like I said, had a lot of great racing, a lot of on-edge moments with these guys, just trying to keep the cars underneath them. You had a lot of gnarly moments, a lot of RNG stuff, and like I said, to top it all off, a fantastic photo finish there between Focusado, Dunlop, and Crystal Bennett. Like you said, the only way that could have probably been any better is if they did cross the line in a three-way tie, which honestly kind of leads me to think what would even happen if we did end up with a scenario like that. But I guess we'll probably end up crossing that bridge whenever we come to it. But such a fun race here tonight from the Talladega Superspeedway. Definitely was a blast up here in the booth, as I'm sure it was definitely a blast down there on the racetrack as well. And definitely a fantastic race to add to the history books here of the Fuel Sportsman Series, and cannot wait to see how the next couple of weeks go as well, because still got a lot more fun tracks on the docket.
We definitely do. And, you know, we were talking about NR2003, you know, the quirks and some of the things that frustrate us with NR, you know, with the netcode issues and some of the RNG like we were talking about. It's moments like this where you've got a 23-year-old game, you've got a track from 1997, cars from 1998, and drivers from today duking it out on track and creating pure art is what keeps this game going, and that's what keeps this game with this beautiful community keep going out here. And a big shout out to the entire Fuel Racing League. Shout out to the whole NR community for, you know, putting together, being able to put together incredible content like this. And this was such a fun race to call, and we've got plenty of more races coming as we got the upcoming broadcast graphic on the bottom left hand of your screen. Tomorrow night, we're down at Nashville for a fun race from the Music City for the Mission Barbecue Cup Series. That's going to get started 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time right here on the NASRN. We got a couple of NBCS races on our schedule at Nashville and then Michigan next week. Next week, we're up in the Irish Hills for the majority of our races. We've got Fuel Grand National from Michigan for the Kettle Lakes 100 on Wednesday, June 3rd. That is going to be a bonkers race like it always is. And then we got Watkins Glen International for the semi-penultimate race of the season for the Fuel Sportsman Series, and the Cheese at 400 presented by Ford for the NBCS on the 6th as well for the NBCS. And then Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series returns. We're going to have a race at Michigan on Sunday night, June 7th. And then we'll open up things at my home track at the Pocono Raceway, starting off with the Kalahari Resorts 100 or 120 from the Pocono Raceway on Wednesday, June 10th. That is going to be a boatload of fun all weekend long here on the NASRN. But that is going to do it here for tonight's coverage. Caleb, any final thoughts on this race before we'll officially get out of Dodge? Because goodness gracious, that was awesome.
Absolutely. I don't really know what else to say that hasn't already been said. Like I said, race had just about a little bit of everything here tonight from the Talladega Superspeedway, and definitely, like I said, one to add to the history books. And a lot to look forward to, like I said, here in the coming weeks. But as of tonight, absolute cinema is what we just saw here from the Talladega Superspeedway. Couldn't really ask for much more, as is usually the case, honestly, here in the Fuel Sportsman Series. It's always so much fun week in and week out. And today's race, absolutely no different from that.
Absolutely 100% as we approach midnight Eastern time. It's been a long day, and once again, I got to shout out my girlfriend's sister and her fiance's slash husband, Victoria and Jesus. They'll be getting married tomorrow afternoon. So that's why I was in a little bit of a rush to get home and get this race done, but I wanted to give them a shout out as they'll be getting married tomorrow down in Princeton. That's going to be a ton of fun. That's going to be the first wedding that I'm going to. Since I was in third grade when I went to my first grade teacher's wedding, It's wedding season, unfortunately, or fortunately and unfortunately, depends on which side you're on. For me, weddings are going to be a ton of fun, and you know what? You and I are getting into that age, Caleb, where every summer around this year it's going to be wedding season, and it is going to be a ton of fun. Not as fun as these fuel races, but still a ton of fun, and we wish them nothing the best tomorrow. But before we finally get out of Dodge, we'll go top down through the order. Begin with Vincenzo Focusato, who led 6 laps tonight to win by 39 one-thousandths of a second over both Crystal Bennett and Dunn Laprade. Crystal right now unofficially being scored in the second spot. We'll get a confirmation of that later on this week, but right now it'll be Focusato, Bennett, and Laprade, your podium, with Emi Schizzato and Grant Warren rounding out the top 5. Paulo Hyde rallied back to finish in 6th. 7th was Kenny Campos in his final fuel race for the foreseeable future. 8th was Trek Tauger. 9th was Corbin Wentz. A good recovery for the 88 team. And RJ Bishop, despite flipping in the infield, got a top 10 after all of that, after doing his best Ryan Preece impression. Connor Edwards was 11th, 12th was Keon Daly, 13th was Ike Durbin, the first car to be out of the race, 14th was Tyler Stallhood, and rounding out the 15-car grid for tonight was Drew Fast in the 4 machine. But that's going to wrap up tonight's broadcast here of the Fuel Sportsman Series. A big congratulations to Vincenzo Focusato for winning the UNsirius XD 125 at the Talladega Superspeedway. And that's all we've got on behalf of Apollo Hyde for the Fuel Sportsman Series, for Tyler Stallhood, the Fuel Racing League administrator, and on behalf of Caleb Rose, Rich Roy, and now Kenny Campos, who will join us in the broadcast booth now. My name is Trey Wright, saying so long from Talladega, Alabama. Next time we'll see this Fuel Sportsman Series will be next Friday night on June 5th from Watkins Glen International, here on your home for the Fuel Racing League, the North American Sim Racing Network. Have a great evening, folks, and enjoy your weekend.